Live, live, live. Welcome, everybody. And hello, South Florida. Welcome to another week, another live edition of the Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate and America's longest running daily radio show all about real estate. My name is Eric Willner, and I am your host, and we are here live Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week, each weekday evening from 8 until 8:30. And you can translate that because we're heard not only live here on these local stations here in the South Florida area, our original AM station, 1470 WWNN. You can also hear us live on our FM stations, 95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, and 103.9 on the FM dial. All of those carried and simulcast on the iHeartRadio network. So if you want to take us with you on the go, just download one of the free apps, TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app. Just search for WWNN 1470 on the iHeartRadio or one of those, and you can take us with you on the go. Now, if being still in one place is what you're doing, then why not check us out at automaticlandlord.com. That's automaticlandlord.com. And you can hear us live streaming during those hours on our website, right at the top of the page. But also when you click on the Real Estate Show, you'll see that we have Real Estate Show notes. And that'll be the blog about our radio show and all of the recordings built into the blog. So you can go back and listen to any one of our shows going back, probably close to a decade now of content. Just think about that. A show a day, 5 days a week, 21 years of content there. So it is your daily dose of vitamin real estate. And we invite you to take advantage of all of that information, and hopefully it'll bring you a few dollars when it comes to real estate. Whether you're a homeowner or a home investor, whether it's your first home or your 21st home, use the Real Estate Show as your one-stop location for all of your real estate education. And we got another great week lined up for you. As you know, each day of the week, even though we're here live every day, each day of the week is a different show, a live show, and we approach real estate from a different angle. But Mondays, where we'll set the agenda, and I'm about to go down what the agenda is for today's show, and you'll see that each day then builds upon that theme, sort of that question. You know, last week I said, welcome to the Great Accelerator. And we talked about the Great Depression before. We talked about the Great Recession before. And as many people have been sort of lamenting, and it was interesting. I got to go out this weekend with a couple of different friends, met them at a nice open air outdoor restaurant, and just kind of catch up. You know, how you been during the pandemic? What's going on? What have you been doing? And it's very interesting to see the different perspectives. You know, some folks have been carrying on as if life has not changed. And very happy-go-lucky, que sera, and they'll take their life that way. Others, quite a bit more measured, that they either work from home and never leave, or in one case, go to work. They work in an isolated area. From that isolated area, they go back home. They're really not doing any kind of socialization at all. And that can be kind of a tough road to hoe. Very, very lonely even. But here's the point of last week's conversation. I said, welcome to the Great Accelerator. And I asked you, our listeners, and I was surprised of a lot of the questions that I ask that draw a lot of answers. When I asked you what was your accelerator, I got less answers. I got fewer people. I think either everyone's kind of stopped and is still thinking about it, or they actually missed the point and realize now that that you can't just stop and take a year off without it having some major ramifications. And the whole conversation last week was that this great pandemic, this tidal wave of disease and economic despair, if you stay still, I mean, think about this. I used to love, and I talked about this even in last week's wrap up. I used to be a big fan of watching big surf movies, and one of the most exciting things to watch, was the people who would ride the 70-foot waves in Waimea Bay in Hawaii. And what was interesting about that is that the whole idea of this thing, and a 70-foot wave, 70, okay, that's taller than a 7-story building. And just imagine riding down the face of that wave. Well, here's the reality of the whole thing. Think about it. If you are in the way, if you're just stopped, if you're not doing anything, and you're in the way of that wave, you will be crushed. You will be wiped out. And some folks and some businesses were, in fact, wiped out by the pandemic. There are businesses that won't come back, many in the restaurant field and in the hospitality business, but there's been other businesses as well. However, going back to that same analogy of the movie, there are some very courageous people that is the thrill of a life, which is to ride one of the waves at Waimea Bay during a big storm, to be able to successfully ride down. And think about it, even if you paddle all day and wait for the right place at the right time, and then when that wave comes in, it's now do or be done. And it's exhilarating, even as a spectator, to watch that. But in the business world, a lot of that happened also. There were folks, and I talked about the printers, the people who make the plexiglass, the people who make all of the hygiene cleaning equipment. Just imagine the companies that make respirators, what they made a killing at $40-some thousand per respirator, and every state was ordering them like, they were Happy Meals. And now you've got we're on the cusp of this vaccine. Can you imagine that the first company that comes out with a successful, proven, reliable vaccine is going to be a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar success story? And the question is, I don't want you to be the person who is getting crushed, and maybe you won't be the person in the trillion-dollar business, or maybe you will be part of that industry. But the fact is that it was a great accelerator, and it either ride the wave or you get left behind or left, underwater by the wave. So now let's talk about this week, because we talked last week where we had 5 shows, 3 workshops. We were busy last week, and one of the sort of the repeating themes that came on is, yes, we talked before about relaunching in this new year, in the late pandemic. We talked about, using this as an accelerator. But for some people, maybe you're in a position of pivoting. In other words, you were going in one direction, and either that direction just flat out stopped, like we just mentioned, or you're in a direction that just doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, or may not go anywhere for a while, and maybe it's time to pivot with the times and then ride. Because we talked several weeks back, maybe a couple of months back, we talked about the gig economy and how freelancing and having a second stream of income has become a really big deal. And a lot of people have been very, very successful. We are having tonight, right after this radio show, a meeting. Now, this is not open to the public, but I'm just telling you that we're having a training meeting for our expansion team. We had put out and asked some of you out there if you wanted to join. The things that we talk about in repairing people's credit and finding people's homes and financing those homes, and then also in helping people to accelerate and pay off those properties sooner. If any of that sounds interesting, or that we had on Thursday our big roundtable. Now, the big roundtable was an opportunity for entrepreneurs from any field. Obviously, a special open invitation to investors, because you are entrepreneurs. And so we had our very first kickoff meeting for the big roundtable. We'll be having another meeting this coming Thursday. And what I want to make very clear is that this is an opportunity for you to kind of explore. Come take a look at all the different small businesses that have come and have attended. Maybe you have a different idea. Maybe you have an extra idea. Today I got a message from someone looking for an angel investor for a startup idea. And again, I'll invite you to come to our Thursday right after the radio show. We'll have a Zoom meeting. Stay tuned. We'll give out the Zoom ID number and how you can be a part of it. It's absolutely free. It may not always be for free, but for now, as we're kind of kicking in the momentum, and we want to, during this pandemic, make things as accessible as possible. And that's what we've laid out there and made it available. So this week, the big question is it time for a pivot? Is it time for a pivot? And we're going to talk about these things throughout the week. In fact, in the second half of today's show, what I want to do is I want to talk about, some of the questions that you might want to be asking yourself if you were considering changing businesses or starting a business. But we'll do that when we come back from this break. Right now, we're going to go ahead and take that break. You're going to hear a few words from our sponsors. I'm going to have a glass of water, but I hope you'll join us on the other side of this break, because we'll be getting down into the first steps in starting a business and what you need to know, whether it's fight or flight when it comes to the business. And we're going to help you out. Stay tuned. This is the place to be. My name is Eric Willner. I am the host for The Real Estate Show. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Now, with the new software, I'm not going to take out my other headset because, as you know, that usually takes it away and it doesn't automatically come back. But I want to say hi to some of the folks that have joined us on our Facebook Live. Also, while I don't have access to the names on our YouTube Live, I want to say hi first to YouTube. That's over there on my personal YouTube page. We are, as I mentioned, building up the content over there for that launch, which hasn't been officially launched yet. But hi and hello there. Hey, Brian. Also on our Facebook page, Marianne, the Real Estate for Women Only. That I've been getting a lot of good feedback. Several people asking to be a part of it. I think that there's some momentum coming on to that. And so I think we're gonna have some fun. John Brown, the best handyman in town, is on there. Barbara, my good old partner's wife. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Nice to see your name up on the list. I like to see the photos from time to time, dancing away. Hey, Brian, over there as well on the Facebook, and Erica, who is there and nearby. Let's see, who else? Mark, hey there. Had a nice 4-mile run today. And welcome back. For those of you just joining us, you are in fact listening to The Real Estate Show, South Florida's #1 program about real estate, America's longest running daily radio show, all about the topic of real estate and anything real estate related, from the business of real estate to the properties in real estate, to the financing in real estate, to fixing credit, mortgages, property management, you name it, you bring it, we'll answer it right here on The Real Estate Show. Not much that in the 30 plus years here in the real estate market that we haven't seen, not much that we haven't done as well. But here in The Real Estate Show, the object here is to bring a little bit of edutainment here, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of interesting information about the real estate field. And that's what we're going to try to do every day. Simone from Boca Raton has just joined us. Oi, Simone. And so we have today sort of focused back in on the concept of a pivot. You know, if you kind of like the conversation, now it won't be long before I suggest that real estate is the ideal business to start. It is something, it meets all of the qualifications. You know, when I looked at what I was looking for in a business, if I were to start the ideal business, I would want a business, obviously, that has unlimited income potential. And real estate has unlimited income potential. But even better, as you start out, you know, before I start talking about these astronomical numbers and pie in the sky, you know, dreams that many people sell out there from Mr. In and out of town guy, I want to talk about the regular, everyday money that I can take to the supermarket, recurring income. And what I'm talking about is rental income. When you start out, your first rental income is bringing you in a couple $100s a month. Well, it may not be a life changer in the macro sense, but when you all of a sudden have an extra couple $100s coming in every month, it will make a difference. After a while, a couple $100s may be your car payment. After a few more properties, those extra couple $100s could be your mortgage payment all of a sudden. And then it could be perhaps replacement of the income that you have to go every day to your job. And you know, a job, right? Just over broke or just obligated to being there. The job that most people are seeking away. They love the security, but learned a big lesson during this pandemic that the so-called security of a job is not as secure as they once thought. So to have some of that regular passive recurring income was one of the things that I looked for in a business. The second thing I wanted in a business that you get automatically with all businesses, but no business more so than real estate. Real estate has more tax advantages than any other out there. So then you have the equity buildup, because when you build a business, you're not just building a business, which is another income stream. You're building an equity in that business, because it generates income. And real estate is a great example. I own a property. The property, as I generate income, now the more income I can get that property to generate, the more valuable that property becomes. And as rents go up over time, the value of that property goes up. Also, as the income comes in, the rent payment goes to pay down the mortgage. It pays the mortgage, which is partially interest payment and partially principal payment. So I'm growing my equity in two ways: passively through the market, actively through the pay down of the mortgage. Then I have the appreciation of the asset. In this case, it is the real estate. Then I have the ability also to leverage the real estate, and I wanted to be able to control a substantial business with a moderate amount of money down. Just like in real estate, with a 10% down payment, I can own a 100% of the property. I can do it with as little as 3% when I'm going to live in it, and maybe 20% if I'm buying it for an investment. So these are the 5 things that you look for in a business that obviously gives you a lot of incentive, and why so many people want a business. Now, tomorrow in our tools, tips, and techniques, I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, that transition from an employee to maybe a self-employed or micro business, but that's not really where we want to go. We want to get to a business, a self-sustaining, ongoing concern called a business. And that business is and the test there is when I can walk away from my business for 3-4 weeks, 3-4 months. And when I come back, that business is still going. Unlike when I'm a real estate agent, if I walk away from my real estate business for 3 weeks or 3 months, when I come back, I'm back to the starting block. And so that's not a business. It's better than being an employee, because I get paid in relative to what I produce, unlike an employee, which I just have to show up. And I know some of you are going to say it's not just about showing up, but I also see a lot of jobs there where people are basically punching the clock, doing their routine mechanical things, but they're not growing. The business isn't growing, and it really is just an exchange of dollars per hour. And as soon as you stop those hours, so stop the dollars. And only on a slightly different way is a self-employed person. It's the business that is a system that allows you to create something ongoing. And that's where we want to go. And that's where you want to get to. And then ultimately is to have a business that generates money to buy investments, which now you have two sources of income and really an unlimited number of investments that will allow you to now choose what you do with your time, because your time is no longer being traded. And now whether you want to spend more time with your family, more time traveling, more time donating your time and doing charitable work, the options become literally unlimited. And so the first thing you got to ask yourself, right, is how much energy, how much effort, how much resources is this going to take? And by the way, for those of you who want to know some of these questions, I'm putting together an entrepreneur's checklist, an entrepreneur's questionnaire, if you will. And if you're interested in getting a copy of my questionnaire on figuring out whether entrepreneurship or small business is right for you, then go to my website at Automatic Landlord. That's Automatic Landlord, and just type in questionnaire, please, and I will send you this specially developed questionnaire, which will tell you and it'll probably pique your ideas, certain things that you may have thought about, but other things that you absolutely should think about if you're going to jump out and go into business. But here's the cool part. For this questionnaire, I have an answer for every one of these questions on how you should treat it and how to be successful, because this is not just a questionnaire, but a success checklist for entrepreneurs as well. So things like, do I currently have other obligations that will prevent me from giving the business 100%? And that's, that's a real gut check you have to have with yourself and find out whether you have the ability to. Now, there are some people that are stuck in a situation, in a business or in a job that they quite frankly simply can't break away, and they would have to make a pivotal decision in their lives. And I do know, in fact, I have a good friend of mine from San Diego who made that pivotal decision, had a healthy 6-figure income job, but just it owned him. And he wanted to pursue his dream of becoming a real estate entrepreneur and live solely off of his investments. And he recently sold his house in California, quit his job, and then relocated to a very positive market. And that's what I'm talking about, is the ultimate pivot. Now, I'm not telling you to do that yourself here. I want you to be a little bit more measured. Now, he came for a lot of coaching and counseling before he made that decision. And then he followed the steps. He followed the recipe, if you will. And now he's already got his initial investments. He's got several properties in the works. And together we're going to work on building it. I promise you, I'll bring this person on for an interview in a few months, and we're going to talk about where he stands in his journey to become financially free and 100% in real estate. And he won't be the first person who I've helped do so. And so maybe this is something you might think about, and maybe that may have you want to join us on the big round table. These are the kind of conversations that we have at the big table. And so that's going to be this coming Thursday. Again, if you want the information for the login, just go to the website at Automatic Landlord and say round table access, please. And we will send it out to you. All you have to do is on the first page is a place for comments. And you need to ask for the entrepreneur's checklist. You can ask for the round table tickets, whatever it is. We respond to those inquiries there at automaticlandlord.com. That's the easiest thing, even better than calling us, because as you know, the day gets crazy when we go there. And so another question, would there be a much better time for me to start a business other than now? Now, this is a fun one to have, and this is a conversation, and it has a lot to do. It's true which business that you're in, but here's the other thing. You could wait for the economy to go up. You could wait for the economy to go down to find your entry point. You can wait for before the elections. You can wait for after the elections. You can wait for the new iPhone. You can wait for the interest rates to go up, the interest rates to go down. You could wait for all of these things. And what I have found is that the best time to start a business is when you're ready. And the question is, are you ready? And that's what this conversation that we would have, which is absolutely free, no cost, no obligation. All you have to do is go to my website, Automatic Landlord, and either click on the top corner there and say, book an appointment. And you'll see that there's our coaching calls, but there's a complimentary first time 30-minute, no cost, no obligation call, and it's a great strategic session. It's a strategy session is what it's really all about, to find out what you can do, what you want to do, and do you have what it takes right now? What are my alternatives? What if I don't start a business now? Is there going to be that opportunity the same way in the future? What are the chances of success of this business? Not every great idea is a great business. And that's a key thing to understand. Not every great idea is a great business. And so we'll talk about that as well. Take it from someone who started a number of businesses, had good ones, had bad ones, been in this real estate for the longest time. And I definitely can shed a lot of light on that area. Anyway, the music is coming in. That's what we have for you today. You got a good idea what the agenda is. What's time? Is it time for a pivot? And we're going to talk more about that. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about our tools, tips, and techniques on how to undertake that. So join us again, same place, same time tomorrow, wherever you found us. So until then, this is Eric Willner signing off. Drive safe, wash those hands, and make it a pivotal day. Bye-bye. Thanks, you too. Let me go ahead. Hey, Felipe, better late than never. Good to see you. How's everything going? Simone from Boca Raton. So fun day today. Rainy but busy day on the front. So I'm going to wind down our YouTube. Take care, Brian. Thank you. Have a good night.